Hey folks, Kerry from Right Choice Realty here on Parkbench Wainwright. And for today's interview, I'm going to be chatting with Mr. Vince Hill and Mr. Eryn White, the principal and vice principal from Wainwright High School. All right, well, let's jump right into this. Welcome, Mr. Hill and Mr. White. Before we start, I know that you are both new administrators to Wainwright High School, and Eryn, not to be TPS for you, but maybe just give us a little bit of Cole's Notes version of your history and what brought you to Wainwright High School.
Well, I'll start. For me, I was in Bassano for the 5 years previously, and then in Saskatchewan. I've been in administration for probably, if I say how long, then it tells everyone how old I am. But it's been quite a while. I've been probably 18 years in administration. One of the reasons we came to Wainwright was because it was closer to Prince Albert, where my wife's family is. It actually brings, because we lived in PA and we're in the northern area for a number of years, this reminds me of the area, so it's very similar. So it's nice. We like the area, and the setting is really pretty, and it's good.
Mr. White?
So for myself, I'm actually not an Albertan, and I've lived in Alberta for the last 18 years, I guess now. So a long time. And what I came to teaching here was in 2007, I got a job in Provost as a high school English teacher. So after I got my second degree, I just fired my applications out, and that was the one that decided to take me on. And I'm really happy to be part of Buffalo Trail Public School and then teach there for the last 12 years. And I got a little bit of a nudge from a few people when a position opened up at Wainwright High School for the vice principal job. And I decided I was ready to take that next step and wanted to see what else was out there in the world of education. And I applied, and I've been really happy that I was able to land up here. I still live in Provost, and my family's still there. And I'm actually pretty happy making the commute here. This last year has been pretty easy on me, though. The winter wasn't too tough. But I like that hour either way. It gives me some time to get ready to go and gives me some time to sort of unpack some of my thinking before I get home. So,
very cool. Well, and starting as a new administrator, that this is a little bit different than the way that everyone else started, I'm sure. But let's dive into that part. Like, we have never experienced anything like this before with this pandemic going on and the educational challenge that must come along with that. How is WHS adapting to that?
First and foremost, I think that we have an amazing group of teachers here and EAs. And Kerry, you were a part of the school right up until a year ago, and so the caliber of people I'm talking about. These are people who are ultimately the professionals, and they have just jumped on board with this, recognizing that we have to do things differently. It's not just us that's doing things differently, and we know in our own personal lives we're doing church differently, and there's a whole range of things that are happening in our lives. It's just been so different and bizarre. But we're trying to replicate as much as possible the face-to-face experience and this is part and parcel of why we're using even a Zoom right now. Nothing replaces a face-to-face experience where you actually have kids in your classroom, where you can actually engage, you can actually monitor how they're feeling and how they're responding. Are they getting the concepts? Are they picking up on it? Are they attentive? A number of range of things that you're working with kids. And then all of a sudden that gets taken away from you and you're put into a face-to-face, not in a face-to-face, but in a live situation like using Zoom. And the dynamics are so different. And yet our teachers have been really amazing in terms of trying to work with these kids, using these sessions on a daily basis. We've scheduled our classes so that they could go in, and kids come in on a regular basis every day in a scheduled time. We have HAPRA that we're using, or Google Classroom, where they can put their assignments up. We're trying to do a variety of things in terms of how we do our assessments, a whole range of things. So it's been a really major learning curve for everybody, but everybody has been just amazing. This has been a great staff to work with, and I'm really pleased to have this opportunity to be able to be a part of this team, and I think it's been really good.
Very cool. Well, I know you do have an amazing staff there. I recall that, and I have no doubt that you're providing an awesome education so far, but there must be some challenges there. So I'm a grade 8 student, let's say, and school sort of, as I knew it, might have ended mid-March, I suppose, or probably over a month ago. What happens to my academic standing for those students?
Yeah, that's a good question that actually, to be honest, as teachers and as admin here, we've been talking about what does that look like. And I don't know, I'm really confident, and I think what Vince was saying as well is going to echo this, is that having conversations with our staff and knowing that they have the authority and the ability to say, oh, I can see now, let's say the grade 8 student has been doing this up until now, and with the work that we're providing through our new model of learning, they feel confident in saying, okay, I can see that this student is going forward with learning. We've actually put together a little bit of a learning plan that we sent out to the public just recently. It's on our Facebook page as well, and it's free to be examined by whomever would like to take a look at that. And it just sort of details that what we're really looking at is providing some commentary rather than an actual numerical number for a grade. And so whenever assessments go out, we provide that comment back to the student and to the parents about how they're working in that objective, that general idea. So is it a proficient level, or are they working at a mastery level even? And throughout the year, it's going to give a sense of how they are performing. So when we do have the end of the year where we actually are obligated to put a number in for Alberta education, it's within a range that's going to be reflective of those individual assessments that we've been doing. So the big thing that we're really worried about is that we can make sure that students who aren't the ones that are regularly attending, or we have some problems contacting them, is that we do get a hold of them. And that's where we really are pushing to make sure that their academic standings are staying at a level that's acceptable, making sure kids don't fall through the cracks. And Mr. Hill and myself and a few other of our teachers, Ms. Eryn White and Mrs. Gruneau, are actually making those individual contacts right now and making sure that those kids are getting the help that they need to.
And is technology an issue? Like I can imagine a family of 4, 5, maybe 3 or 4 kids in there. I guess because things are spread out throughout the day, has the school been able to help a little bit with technology?
Yeah, we have, and you know what? We're fortunate enough that we have as many Chromebooks in our school, and so Julie Hebert, our librarian, has actually been phenomenal. She's every time we've gotten a family situation that's been posed to us where they've got maybe 3 kids that need to be on at the same time, we've been able to provide Chromebooks for those kids and put them on a lending library kind of scenario and provide that technology for them. Of course, we did a survey early on in this situation to try to find out how many kids may be challenged with accessing, with the internet and so forth. That wasn't so much the issue as much as the devices was the issue in terms of how many of them could actually get on.
Right.
And so we've tried to provide that support. It's been good, but we still have the odd kid that still right now we'll be honest, we're concerned about some of this because of the fact that they're not accessing even the live sessions. They're not accessing the materials that are online, and that's worrisome. We want to make sure we touch base with all these kids, and we're trying what we can.
Absolutely. And which brings my next question, Mr. Hill. So what can parents do? So obviously, if we're not able to connect with some of those kids, and there's so many different learning styles with audio and visual and hands-on, kids learn best in their own personal ways. What can parents do to aid with their, the education of their children?
One of the things that, the term has been thrown out there that, now these kids are being homeschooled. They're not being homeschooled. And that's the last thing we want is that parents don't need to be teaching their kids. That's not their job. They can just support and provide. And we'll try to do our job in terms of helping these kids. And that's the biggest piece, is that if parents could support us in terms of ensuring that their kids are getting up at a decent time. Are they getting up and going to classes? Are they attending classes? Are they actually, are they going to bed at a reasonable hour and not staying up gaming all night and, because there's been a tendency for and it's the odd family that maybe has kind of gone into summer mode. And that's different. And that's not what we're in. We're not in summer mode. We're still in learning mode.
Right.
And we need to be really prioritizing that this is a time that we're trying to ensure that students are still coming into class, that they're engaging in their learning, and that they're being prepared for when they come back in September. If we open our doors here in September, that they go into the next grade, that they're actually feeling like they had some really strong learnings in the previous, like over the springtime, and that they feel confident and feel ready to go into the next level. If you've disengaged and just kind of dropped off the face of the map here and doing nothing, then those kids are going to be further behind. So that's really the message we're trying to send out, is learning is happening and we need to engage in that learning.
Cool. Well, and routine is important for all of us, let alone kids especially. So I think that's important that is one great way that parents can help, is keep that routine going and limit the amount of gaming and that kind of stuff that goes on with the technology that we have today. So now I'm a graduate, and am I going to graduate this year? Am I going to have a party? Am I going to celebrate? Am I going to, get a chance to toast my accomplishments somehow? What's going on there?
Yeah, I think that's a big question, even in a regular school year, isn't it?
It is, for sure.
It's a challenging piece for sure. Even just coming on the heels of one of the more recent releases from Alberta Health Services, and Dr. Henshaw is actually stating that from this time forward, and this sort of nebulous time frame of all of summer, is that there will be no gatherings of over 15 people. So with a statement like that coming from our government, our hands are tied in regards to how it is that we can actually celebrate. But that doesn't mean that we can't celebrate. And I'll tell you what, again, not that I'm saying that my staff does all the work here, but man, they do a lot of work. And there's a few members of the staff who are really interested in looking at different ways that we can celebrate. So I've got a great list of opportunities for students, and I've been getting a hold of the grad class, and we've been doing some meetings, and I record those ones for the students who aren't available. And I'm just really I'm going to bring it back to them. We're going to have another one next week. And I'm going to say, listen, here are some opportunities that we have. If it's a virtual meeting, or if it's some sort of parade, or do we do a collective, display using mortar caps, something that's actually celebrating their time here, and give them to make that choice, because it is their grad, and I want them to make sure that they're part of that choice too. The one thing I really want to talk to them about is, well, what do you want grad to be? What does it mean to you? And then how can we recreate that in our new circumstances? So it's a slow process, but we are definitely working through that and making sure that we give that voice back to the students in the class, and not making sort of unilateral choices that makes people feel that they're unheard or not being able to celebrate. So
Right.
Still not sure what it looks like exactly, but we'll be doing something, absolutely.
Right. And there's several schools that have had fall grads anyways. I mean, A, we know for sure that they graduated. B, it sort of takes a bit of that safety concern away that goes with the hype in June when kids should be studying. They have a graduation in there. So maybe there's going to be some positives come out of this. Well, I know, I've got my WHS track and cross country garment on here, coaching there for a lot of years. And I want to bring you guys up to date a little bit on the track outside. I'll flash a couple of pictures here too on that. But we are going ahead with putting the lines on the track here. You'll probably see that happening in probably mid-June to July. And then hopefully people can stay off for a day or two. But then we will have that track will be ready to go with lines and that kind of stuff. And I know they've seeded the grassy areas. So if there's a positive there, there's not so many footprints going through there, and let that grass grow in that field, and that facility that's going to be fantastic will take shape and will be ready for gung-ho kids to be practicing and competitions for, I guess, for the fall. But so that's going to be going ahead.
And you know what? And I want to add to that too. You need to be credited for this piece, Carrie. And we did this. The opening of the field in the fall for the football piece, and we wanted to make sure there was a separate event, because there's the track and there's the football field, and you have been a huge player in this thing happening for the school, and we really commend you for all the hard work you put into this. So thank you for that.
Well, no problem. Thank you. I appreciate that. And I enjoy it. And I've enjoyed many years working with kids in that regard. So I hope that continues on. I'm looking forward to being there for that ribbon cutting on that facility for sure.
For sure.
I think that's going to be a great ceremony for a couple of reasons. One, I think it's going to mark that time that we can actually come back together in those groups. And two, it's sort of that legacy that we can move forward with and I can be part of now too. It's pretty awesome.
You're 100% right. Well, thank you, Mr. Hill, Mr. White, for joining me on Parkbench today. If people have questions, if they have concerns, are they still okay to call the school and check in, or?
Absolutely. You know what? We're still making lots of phone calls to parents. We're trying to connect with them. I'm still kind of old school, and I think Eryn is like that as well. But you know what? Picking up the phone and actually having a conversation is probably, in my mind, more valuable than an email. And you can just get so much more accomplished in that phone call. So just to hear people's voices and all that too. We miss the kids. We miss the kids a lot here. And we exist because of the kids. And that's when you pull them out of this building, it really creates a huge vacuum in the school. So we look forward to them coming back and being a part of this.
Fantastic. Well, and I think kids love the summer, but I also know how excited they are to come back after summer. And I think this is going to be double that when this crazy thing is over. But thank you again for joining me, and enjoy the rest of your day. This is Parkbench Wainwright. We promote business, institutions, events, news locally, and it's free for everyone. So if you'd like to have an interview here as well, give me a call, or myself or Ken, and we'd be happy to do it with you. Thanks again, gentlemen. We'll see you hopefully soon.
Thanks, Kerry.
Have a good day.
Thank you.
You too.
Thanks.